Hello everyone, welcome to a quick review of the series on my channel, Let's Learn Astrology, where you can learn the Vedic astrology system right from the beginning to the point at which you can start to make predictions. If you haven't checked it out, of course, please do. The playlist is below. In this video, I'm going to be answering some outstanding questions for you, and pertinent and interesting questions they are. But please remember, if you are going through my series or you are new to my series, you can still ask questions below the individual videos. I will commit myself to continually checking those videos and answering questions as I come across them. Don't forget, you've got to make them about the video itself and relevant to the learning. That's the thing. So if you're new to my channel, of course, please sub below. It'll be great to have you on board. And if the video was helpful for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's go. Now, we started the series by just how to construct the birth chart, the horoscope, known as Kundali, known as Rasi chart, the actual chart which will control your destiny. Everything comes back to the birth chart. Many of you asking me about Varga charts. No, we're not doing Varga charts here. That's another place on my channel, definitely. But if you don't get this chart right, you can't understand even Varga charts, because divisional charts will always have to be put back into the birth chart. Aha! Birth chart, Kundali, moment you were born, everything stems from this. So let's have a look at your questions around the birth chart. First question, how to rectify the birth chart. What if you are not 100% sure of your time of birth? It's so important because the ascendant degree will be the most important factor. Everything stems from there. Sometimes there might be a rising sign changing within a minute or two, or you're not sure whether you were born morning, afternoon, or maybe 1 hour out, half an hour out. You know, everyone, even if you have a hospital record, it may still need to be rectified by a minute or so. Some of you said not sure even what day you were born. That's really tricky if anybody isn't sure of that, but still there is a way. So I'm going to give you here some very simple basic rules how you can get near to that ascendant and definitely at least have an ascendant birth chart. The way to go about this, everybody, is the moon. It is the moon's position by sign, by nakshatra, that you want to get accurate. You must get the moon in the right place. Now, did the moon change signs on the day you were born? Check this out first and foremost. Get an ephemeris, check my earlier videos how to do that if you're not sure, and find if the moon changed signs on the day you were born, because every 2.5 days the moon does change sign. So let's say the moon changed from, say, Capricorn sign to Aquarius sign on the day you were born. Create 2 different Chandra Lagna charts. One with Capricorn moon in the first house, and a second chart with Aquarius moon first house, and put all the other planets in the relevant houses to the moon. And when you've got those Chandra Lagna moon charts up, check the video on my channel, the moon chart. That will surely help you make a judgment. You can spend some time thinking which of these positions of planets from the moon are really showing my experience of life. And you can, of course, as I say, judge moon sign itself. So you want to get the moon sign right, then we're getting closer and closer to the ascendant. Of course, for some people, the moon didn't change all day. But either way, after finding moon sign, we need to hone it down into the lunar mansion of the moon. We need to find the nakshatra position of the moon, lunar mansion of the moon. And you may have to check a few of these carefully. And the way to do it, though, is not just personality. Am I this nakshatra that? Although there's a playlist on my channel, you can check it out. I've not completed it at the time I'm doing this video, but I surely will, hopefully. So Mahadasha starts from the nakshatra lord. So now we are really going to have to get rectification from the life events seen by the Mahadasha. Check the video on this playlist. That will surely help you understand Mahadasha, called Vimsotri Mahadasha, which is seen from the birth lunar mansion nakshatra of the moon. You're going to need software. You're going to have to manipulate an hour or so this way, an hour or so that way, changing nakshatra, Lord, changing Mahadasha. So you need to be honest about your life, think about circumstances. You're not going to do this in an hour or two. It's going to take many days, even months, but you will get there. Sorry that it's not easy, but it's so worth doing. And finally, even if you know time of birth, as I say, hospital record may be there, but it can be out a minute or so. And this is so important. If you know time of birth, say within 15 minutes, say your mother said, oh, it was around tea time or it was around breakfast time. I mean, what is breakfast time? Don't forget, mothers are not in a very good state at the moment of your birth to have that superb memory for things. And even anybody there, medical staff, they can do it quickly. They can look at the clock. The clock may be out, their watch may be out. They're not astrologers. They're not thinking this time I write down is going to affect the horoscope. They're thinking probably this is a medical record. So check the video on my channel, D9 chart, Navamsa chart. I know I said I wasn't going to speak about them on this video. I'm not. I'm just saying that's your final rectification that you must do. That's been up there for about 3 or 4 years now. And on that video, I have discussed Navamsa trines, how you can understand them and you can make a rectification of your D9 ascendant. Once you've got D9 ascendant right, you will have the birth chart correct as well. Very good question. How to integrate all the different factors. When you look at a birth chart, particularly when you're starting astrology, this comes up because you feel overwhelmed. Planets in the signs, okay, I've got that. Now they're in a house. Now there's a ruling planet going here, there, everywhere, right? Then there's yogas and there's aspects. Oh, your mind is spinning. How on earth do I integrate it? How do I bring it all together? But I think if you ask people who've been doing astrology for decades, for a long time, because I've been doing it for a long, long time, I think they will say along with me, you can't, nor should you even attempt to do so. It's a bit like this actually brought to mind, there was a movie a long time ago. I think it was a movie, but it was a book called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Douglas Adams. He's got an interesting chart, by the way. Check it out. And science fiction writer. And at the end of this hike to the end of the galaxy, these people get to this big computer. This was, when the software was all very basic, but still, he had this big computer there and they wanted to ask a question. What was their question? What is the meaning of life and everything in it? That was their question. Oh, talk about trying to integrate all the different factors, right? That's the ultimate thing. What's the meaning of life and everything in it? Put the question in. And it's churning and making all these noises for a long, long time. And they're waiting and they're waiting. And finally, there's a piece of paper coming out with the answer. The answer to the meaning of life and everything in it. And they pick it up. And what does it say, everyone? It says 42. I hope you get my point, everybody. You can't integrate everything. You can't find some formula, but you can do this. And don't forget, Vedic astrology is full of special techniques. Technique for this, technique for that. Learn the techniques. That's going to help you. But here is the first thing you must do. Keep it topic specific. I promise you, as a beginner, even as an advanced astrologer, focusing on one thing. You want to know about relationships in this horoscope. So 5th house, romance. 9th house, contracts. Sorry, did I say 9th house? 7th house, contracts. 9th house, fortune, of course. 7th house, contracts, marriage, business deals, etc. Keep it topic specific. Look at the relevant houses. Look at the lords. Check the aspects to the house. You will get so much information that will really help you. Then you are actually integrating things, because if you try to integrate things without looking at specific areas of the life in depth, you're not getting anywhere anyway. So keep it topic specific. 4th house, home. 10th house, career. 7th house, relationships, business. By the way, 8th house is about ending of relationships. There's another little technique for you. So yeah, keep it topic specific. You'll do good astrology. Here's a question. Again and again, I'm being asked this. In fact, I almost had a video up, to give you on this, and I gave it up in the end because, quite frankly, I felt it was a big digression from Vedic astrology. Astro Cartography means, can you have a different horoscope when you go to live somewhere else in the world? Because if you had been born there, here's the whole theory, you would have a completely different ascendant. So say you're born in London and you go to live in New York. At the time of day you were born in London, it would be 5 hours or so earlier New York, and a different ascendant rose. So when you go to live there, theory is, that is your new horoscope. But is it? Is it? I've spoken about this in my Any Questions series. Have a check of that, still on my channel. And I said, it doesn't work. Well, I've used this decades ago. I used it when it was first coming out, actually. And I had this big map of all the different areas in the world. And when I traveled there, I would think, yeah, I'm getting some Venus effect in this location. Or, wow, the sun is really affecting me here. But the longer that you stay there, it doesn't stay the same. You see, we can't get rid of birth chart. The only time we get rid of the birth chart, if you want to think of it that way, is when we leave our body, when we die. And you know what? I was thinking about this. Even then, we don't get rid of it completely. Why not? Going a bit deep now, everyone. I know it's a beginner's video, but I'm just enjoying myself answering the questions, excuse me. But here's the thing. If you get into astrology deeply and you get your D60 chart, you will see past life as well there. So next time that any of us get a human body, we are praying for that, of course. If we do, then this birth chart, these karmas, we can see it in the D60 and it will influence that life as well. Because what we do now has going to be definitely having an impact on our future birth. So we never get rid of the birth chart. What to speak of just going to a new location in the world? No, please stick with your birth chart, my definite advice. And here's another point, everybody. Just remember this. Want to put this in. Somebody recently put a comment below one of my transit videos. Hello to you if you're listening. Let me know if you hear this. And somebody said, Gina, do I read my transits from my relocation chart or my birth chart? Wow. I thought, oh no, what are people doing in astrology recently? Please, from your birth chart. I promise you it's correct. As I say, get the correct time. That's the one, not relocation chart. Now, here's the good news about transits, though. And I've been saying this so many times, the moon is the thing. Go chart from the moon. And no matter where you go to live, how many Astro Cartography charts you draw up for yourself, the moon will stay the same in every one of those charts by sign. So your go chart transits won't change. Thank goodness. Use the birth chart. A question's come up so many times on my channel and below these learning videos. What if you've got twin babies, or maybe even triplets? I don't know. Babies born with the same horoscope, same ascendant. How do you differentiate between them? The answer is you're going to have to look at the Varga charts. So you need that time of the first breath of each being, each twin, to within 2 minutes. 2 minutes, because the D60 chart is where you have to go. Parashar is so strong on that D60. It's such an important Varga chart. Ascendant changes every 2 minutes. Planets won't change signs, but the ascendant will. Therefore, the whole Mahadasha experience changes for each being. So 2 minute difference. You've got to get that accurate. If you know you're going to give birth to twins, anybody get a stopwatch, get somebody there for that moment. I hope that was helpful. Good question. Should I meditate before reading a chart? What a beautiful thing. Yes. Yes. But do we? We don't, do we? Have we ever got time for meditation? Do we meditate properly? No, but this is a very beautiful question. Taking a deep breath, saying a prayer, saying perhaps Om Gam Ganapataya Namah to Lord Ganesh, saying a prayer to God in any religion. Om Vishnave Namah, by the way, very, very good. Om Gurave Namah. All of these Vedic mantras, but in any religion, praying to God and saying, let me understand these karmas. Let me see this chart and let me help somebody by this sight. And here's the thing, it's best to see a chart in the day. Reading horoscopes at night is not advised. Here's a good question. Can I draw up my chart by hand? Whoever asked this, wonderful. I mean, honestly, this is a very wonderful thing to ask, because it's surprising in this day that somebody should take the trouble to do this. But this is when you are really loving astrology, when you really want to just bring up a horoscope and calculate it yourself. That's very special. But having said that, do I do it anymore? No, but I used to do it all the time. I've got a drawer, well, 2 or 3 drawers of charts that I couldn't chuck away. They were in my mother's house. And you know, when I was a child, I endlessly drew up horoscopes. Here's one. Yep, I've taken out name. This is a relatives chart. It's a Western style chart. That's what I did. Here I am, you know, I was a teenager doing this, and I worked the whole thing out myself. You can definitely do it. Now, here's the general process I used to use, and I would say Google this now. I don't know of any textbooks give you this, because almost every textbook expects that you will just go on the internet and bring up the horoscope. Software will do all the hard work for you. So date, time, place of birth, correct it for GMT, Eastern time, whatever it is, localized time, and then find sidereal time, noon, midnight. Where do you find this? Well, you need to get an ephemeris. Here is February 19, no, not 19, because I was thinking of my old charts. February 2025, everybody. Sidereal time is here. I think this is midnight, actually, on these tables here. One of the earlier videos in this series, I discussed how to use ephemeris, but there is sidereal time. So if you'd seen sidereal time and you're wondering, what is this? What is this? It's not a planet. What is it? This is how you can calculate ascendant. Then you will add or subtract birth time, which has been adjusted for the localized time. As I say, you may need some instruction, which I would imagine is out there somewhere, how to make these simple adjustments. So once you have that adjusted local sidereal time at birth, you need to think about place of birth. Now, we used to use table of houses, and I'm sure they're all still available. What they mean is what's the sidereal time giving as the rising sign. So what sign and degree is rising at the exact place of birth? Table of houses give you those. I used to have a whole pile of them. I mean, a whole shelf of them for the UK, but also for the world. And if I lost one, I couldn't do the chart for that place. And yeah, that would give me quite a headache. Of course, once you've got that ascendant, you don't need houses, because we're going to use sign for a house and place the planets in the chart using the ephemeris. And of course, it was very helpful to have one of these type of chart forms, the old style ones, where you could, by a direct method, just do all of those stages I have discussed, and you end up with a local sidereal time at birth for the individual. Put it into a table of houses for the place they were born, and you get ascendant. But it's worth doing, even if you only do one horoscope by hand, somebody's chart who you've not drawn up before. And then you will see the beauty of astrology, why it is an occult science. You mightn't realize why it's occult, because occult means hidden. When you draw a horoscope by hand, you're digging up a secret knowledge. You are finding somebody's destiny bit by bit. You are putting in planets. You are seeing the aspects here. This is a Western chart, so this was limited. By the way, when I saw this individual's chart, Vedic, well, I could see manifest destiny, which was not showing here. Naturally, that is not going to happen. But it's a very special thing, and I think if you do anybody's horoscope, then you should ask permission of that individual. We forget what secret knowledge we have, everyone, when you do it by hand and you see it unfolding in front of you. It's a wonderful experience, but it's powerful. Scorpio, occult, the 8th house is a powerhouse. Ask permission as well, don't forget, and do it during the day. Don't create a horoscope at night, so that the sun, Surya, gives you clarity as you see the chart. Now, what about the houses in the horoscope? We're using a sign for a house system, Vedic astrology. The more that you use that, the more you will understand what a beautiful system this is. It may seem simplistic if you've come from the Western astrology system to begin with, but my goodness, you will see that rather than simplifying, it is giving you so much insight. It is unbelievable. So here's a question I know concerning many of you. Can you have too many planets in a house? Well, I said, didn't I? 4 or more grahas, planets in a house. Don't forget, a sign is a house. So 4 or more planets in a sign, in a house, means that that house has got overcrowded. It's as simple as that. And what's the effect? The effect is that that area of life becomes a struggle, becomes disruptive, gives you quite a few difficult karmas. It doesn't matter even if they are benefic planets, because that area has become top heavy. It's just like too many people in the house, you know, we all know that can be disruptive. Get out of my space, get out of my room, quarrels happen, all sorts of stuff. We all know this. And it's particularly pertinent because even though those planets are in the same sign, they're going to share resources together, but that's where battles happen. Yeah, this is my room, this is my table, this is, what it's like if there's too many people in the house. Even though they can love each other, get on fine, the planets may be friends to each other, still, it's too crowded. And particularly when they are in different nakshatras, very possible to happen. That means not only are they sharing resources of the sign, but when they are in different nakshatras, they are not thinking the same. Their minds are different. Moon is the mind. Lunar mansion nakshatra is about thinking things through the mind. So they've got different objectives, even though they are sharing resources of that sign. So it can get very tense indeed. Is there a positive side? Yes, there is. You get obsessed with that house. You get really having to put so much energy into that area of your life. Loads of planets in Ascendant. It's hard to make decisions because so many things popping off in your head. But what power of personality, what an impact you will certainly make. Lots of planets in the second house, making money, keeping money. Money's going out, money's coming in, but what a business person you could be. You get the idea. It makes you a little bit obsessive, compulsive about the area though. That's the thing. So you need to relax a little bit. Take a break from that area of your life. Don't become overwhelmed with it. That's the thing. Here's a good question. Relationships with in-laws. Can you see this from the birth chart itself? You certainly can. Here's how it goes. Seventh house is your spouse, and this is generic. Every spouse generally can be seen, but specifically first wife, first husband, first long-term committed relationship here. Second is the second house. Third relationship, ninth house, so on. And judging from those individual houses then, but specifically I would say these count in every way because how you relate to people, specifically every single spouse, is the seventh house of your chart. So seventh house becomes spouse's ascendant, and the eighth house is the key house. The eighth house is in-laws generally. So what you're looking to see is, are the benefics there? That's helpful. You're going to get on with them. They're going to do good for you because this is your birth chart. And if there are good aspects to the eighth house, that's going to help considerably with your in-law relationships. Specifically though, 10th house is the mother-in-law. And this is your 10th house, of course. Third house in your chart is father-in-law. Ninth house is the brother, sister-in-law, but the younger. And the elder brother-in-law, sister-in-law is your fifth house. You can do a lot with this. One thing you can do is check transits to these houses in your chart because they will affect those specific individuals in your life. That is one thing to certainly look out for. They become affected and your relationship with them becomes impacted by the transits. We looked at the zodiac signs themselves. Many surprises here about the zodiac signs if you've come from a completely different system of astrology. For instance, Capricorn is not the goat, it's a crocodile. It's so interesting, isn't it? For instance, Aries sign is about kingship. It's not about just being an impulsive person. It's the ruler. It's the king. And the Leo sign actually is about jungles and forests, and at the same time It relates to the home of the king. Aquarius is the mountains, valleys. I bet you never thought of that. I never did until I did Vedic astrology, and then everything just clicked into place. Here's a good question about the signs. How come Mars, which of course we call Mangala, rules Scorpio? Indeed he does, and is a fire planet, yes, but he's ruling this water sign. So Mars is fire Agni Tattva. How come he has rulership over a water sign? You could ask this question of many signs, by the way. Let me give you some examples. See, we could look at Taurus, couldn't we? Taurus is an earth sign ruled by Venus and the moon, both water planets. Libra is an earth sign ruled by Venus, which is a water planet as well. No mix by the element. It doesn't work like that. We could say sometimes it seems to fit, like the sun is a fire planet, rules Leo. Mercury is a earth planet, don't forget. He is nature, but he rules an earth sign, Gemini. So half the time, or more than half the time, it isn't about elements fitting with the sign. Because what we are really seeing is, and this is how you have to think of it, why is Mars at home in Scorpio? What is it about Scorpio karmas that Mangala feels relaxed and happy there? That's the real question. So think of who is the planet. Mangala is an army general, Kartikeya, general of the army of the gods. Where does he take off his armor? Where is he at home? Where can he stop fighting and just relax and do some planning strategy? When he's in Scorpio, his home. What is Scorpio? Where do they live, those little scorpions? Under the ground, little insects, they go under the ground, right? So Mangala goes into his bunker, into his barracks, if you like, but it's hidden underground, where he is safe from the enemy. Then he can take off his armor, then he can relax. You can see how that is happening. So you have to think of it this way. Here's another example. Saturn. Saturn is at home in Capricorn Makra sign. But Saturn is not an earth planet. He is a wind Vayu nature. But he's at home in Capricorn earth sign. That's his home, where he can relax. Why can he relax in Capricorn? Because Capricorn is the graveyard. All the bodies are dead. They've been burnt, they've been buried, they're gone. There's nobody to give karmas to because they've gone. They're all dead. He can relax. So you have to think of it like that. You have to think of where is the actual graha going to be relaxed and at home according to the situation of the sign. It is not about mixing the elemental nature of the graha to his home or indeed to his office sign. I hope that was a little bit helpful. Similar question. Which planets show warrior fighting inclination? Now everybody knows Mangala will do this, most people. Mangala then. Mangala in Kendra, first house, fourth house, seventh house, 10th. Particularly first house, 10th house, you want to fight. You won't just sit down. Think of Donald Trump's chart, right? Mangala rising Leo. Remember when he got shot and he punched his fist in the air, fight. Wow, that's Mangala rising in that powerful fire sign. But it isn't just fighting, it's also an internal desire to shift things. Ketu is a very strong fighting planet as well. Ketu says, I can't deal with this. Ketu can be extreme violence. Ketu can be terrorism. Oh my goodness. That is definitely fighting inclination, but it can be negative. Mangala positively is the righteous cause. Ketu can become not so righteous because he wants to finish everything, total everything. He can have no mercy at all. So Ketu negative can be very, very dangerous. Which brings me on to this question. They're nicely fitting, aren't they? Is Ketu the clue to work to Moksha? Not exactly in the way you are thinking. I presume you are thinking Ketu is Moksha Karaka. So if we look at the Ketu sign, if we look at the house, we may get a clue, right? How we can work towards liberation. And that is true because that house will become knocked. That house will get some hard knocks in life. You will get, let's say, K2's rising. It can take you away from society, make you a little bit of a loner, make you have to work out stuff on your own. But doing that detaches you. This is good. So wherever K2 is, K2 in 7th house, okay, you can become detached from relationships. K2 4th house, home life. You're more out there than you are at home, right? Home life becomes stressful. And it's a good question, everybody, because people think only if you're a monk or a nun are you on your way to moksha. It doesn't work like that. Krishna has said, Bhagavad Gita, just do work, but do it for me. So there is a way to be really busy in life. Nobody can be not busy. Even a monk or a nun has got a job to do, right? Even a priest, even a recluse has to do something to survive, right? So work done in the right way. So how does Ketu help us? Well, Ketu simply shows us the things which are not going to work out so well. So let's put too much energy there. On the other hand, Ketu can show us where we have definite karmas, where we can't get away from it because of past life attachment. So we have to finish off karmas. So Ketu, 7th house, there are finishing off relationship karmas. 4th house, mother karma is so strong, yeah. 10th house, career, who you are in the world. Many knocks to your reputation will certainly happen. Next, the strength of the planets. It's one thing to know planet is in this sign, that house, but how strong is that planet? Check out that video carefully, and here's a really pertinent question about that. The question was, does an exalted planet lose power if subject to a Papa Kartari yoga? Yes and no, and that's a very good question. So let's say you've got Venus Pisces. Wow, that's such an exalted Venus, so pure. But say there are malefics in the house before and the house behind. Has that Venus become trashed? Has it lost its power? It has become damaged, but it will come out of it. You have to focus on what Venus promises. That's the thing. But there will be many tests, many difficult situations because of that Papa Kartari, definitely. You see, nothing ever gets cancelled, but loses power, yeah. But here's another factor. Again, I'm going beyond beginners, but I will just say it in case you need to see that exalted planet in the D9. Has it kept power? Has it lost power? D9, that's important. Finally, somebody asked me about Bobby Kennedy's chart. In relation to this, it's interesting to see, and I discussed his chart, of course, in relation to the last day and mysterious death of Marilyn Monroe. Check out that video, certainly. Here's Robert F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy's chart, and it's such an important chart in relation to Marilyn Monroe's destiny, certainly, as we saw on that video. Look, the 9th house, which is Sagittarius, has a Papa Kartari yoga on it, and on to a very, very powerful guru. It's not exalted, but guru is in own sign. So it's a similar factor. I did actually want to mention this. So Guru is so strong, own sign, 9th house, Sagittarius, but in front of Guru is Ketu and behind Guru is the Sun. Therefore, Sagittarius, 9th house, religion is having Papa Kartari to it. As I say, this Guru is not exalted, but same sign, super powerful. More than that, I will just say high degree, not a critical degree, but it is the Atmakaraka. Those of you who know about that, Guru is his soul. Wow, I mean, this is amazing, isn't it? Soul connected to his wife. She's his soulmate. Literally, he's got deep karma's commitment to her, but he's being tested in his religious commitment. He's gonna struggle, but does it take away Guru's power? It does not take it away. He was a committed Roman Catholic, so was his wife. He had 11 kids, he never divorced, he was committed to his family. He was committed to his religious belief. He always went to church, he went to mass, he did the religious system that he was born into, and he deeply believed in it. Deeply, we can see by this Guru in his own sign, 9th house. He was deeply committed. The Papa Kartari yoga to this Guru, to this Atmakaraka, to this high degree planet, this own sign Guru. Wow, I mean, it couldn't be more religious, could it? Is not taking away that belief, but it's testing it. Huge test is coming to him. You see, Roman Catholic religion, I know about this, it can give quite a bit of guilt to you. It's one of those religious systems that is inborn, that it once you are brought up in that system, the guilt complex is high, and we can see it here. He had love affairs, definitely. Oh yes, Marilyn Monroe. What happened there? Ketu is secrecy, Ketu is 12th house, Ketu is all sorts of underhand stuff going on. He had enemies. He had trouble with the mafia. I mean, you need to read about Bobby F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, the whole saga of it, the Kennedys. But keeping to the point, he was tested with his guru, with his religious belief. He may have felt guilt. He may have felt lots of stuff. But did it take away his belief? I do not think so. So your question, is an exalted or strong planet like this going to be destroyed by Papa Kartari? No, but it will surely be tested. That's the point. And here's a question. If the highest degree planet is debilitated, is it a life of punishment? Oh my goodness, where did you get this idea? Life of punishment, please don't think like that. Don't let astrologers bring you into these extremes. I find this so worrying. Now, in this series, Beginner's Astrology, I did not discuss the highest degree planet, Atmakaraka, but I did discuss critical degree planets, didn't I? And if you've got any planet, 28 degrees, 29 degrees, it mightn't be the highest degree for individual chart, but if you have a critical degree planet, it's going to give you instability, but not a life of punishment. But let's stick with your specific question then. Even though I've not discussed Atmakaraka, the answer is no. You must see the Atmakaraka in the D9 chart. Check the videos on my channel, Atmakaraka, and the second video where I discuss the D9 Navamsa. Check all of that carefully. Next, we saw Sambandha. That's a very wide-ranging concept about how the planets relate to each other and certain conditions of the planets. 1 or 2 questions. Now, somebody asked, is the new moon malefic? If you were born with the moon and the sun close together, specifically, it's an exact conjunction, which is new moon, say moon 10 degrees Aries, sun 10 degrees Aries. And the actual most malefic factor is just as the moon approaches the sun from behind. That is called Amavasya Tithi. But yes, there is a malefic factor to even a dark moon. That is not necessarily Amavasya, but it means that the light of the moon is not visible in the sky. And this happens when the moon is within 72 degrees of the sun. So it's a wide orb. It isn't just Amavasya. So basically, why is new moon malefic? It's malefic because the moon cannot do what the moon wants to do. The moon wants to socialize, meet people, be out there, greeting people, doesn't want to deal with, obsessions, emotions, difficulties. When you are born in a new moon or a dark moon, don't forget within 72 degrees of the sun, that moon turns you inwards, not outwards. You don't necessarily become a recluse, but you can become introverted. Not a bad thing. There are many benefits to a new moon. So it is malefic for the moon's purpose, but not malefic for your life. Please understand this. Because people born on these dark moons have a huge intuition. They are a bit introverted or they like time alone. Too much social life drains them and they need to go deep within, listen to their inner voice, which is amazingly strong. So these people can become talented in occult study. They can become great astrologers, all sorts of things, because they have so much deep understanding. But relationships, social life, all of these things are not smooth if you are born on this darker moon. And it gives a definite, I have seen, increase in anxiety. So making the moon stronger, moon remedies definitely help. There's a video on my channel, Moon Mahadasha actually, but no matter what Mahadasha you're in, you can definitely check it out and see how to do moon remedies to help you. And the moon chart video will help you as well. So put into play some moon remedies, make the moon stronger, and you become more relaxed. Is the new moon different born on a Monday? It's not different. It's not better. It's not worse. It is still having a malefic factor for the moon because it is not bright in the sky. So as I have just said, moon cannot do what it wants to do, cannot be who he wants to be. But if you are born on a Monday, it's very important to get a remedy then, because that vara Monday is having such an impact on your destiny. Weekday we are born, that Lord is really important in our chart. So yeah, new moon, born on a Monday, remedy the moon, make it strong. And I will just go through them, although you may know it. Tuesday, the Lord is Mangala. Wednesday, Mercury. Thursday, Guru, Jupiter. Friday, Venus, Shukra. Saturday, Shani. Sunday, Surya. So definitely check that weekday planet in your chart. It's got a very important aspect on your destiny, and the Mahadasha of that planet, of that weekday Lord, should you go through it, is really important. What happens when the Lagna Lord, that means ascendant planetary ruler, has gone into a combustion with the sun? You become combust, making decisions, finding life direction. You can become very spiritual though, very guided internally, but finding direction for some time can be extremely difficult. But you see so much else you have to see. Like, is Guru aspecting that's going to bring you out of it? Is Mercury helping? You're going to get good decisions in the end. Is it Saturn? Are you Capricorn with Saturn with the Sun? That's heavy because they are enemies. Is it Mercury? Are you Gemini rising? Not so bad. Mercury, Sun are friends. So who is the Lagna Lord? And are there aspects? All of that has to be seen. We looked at Digbala, strong house positions for all of the grahas, and we looked at retrograde motion. Just to recap, retrograde planets cause confusion. They are strong. Don't think they are weak. They are not. They are strong. If they are malefic, they're even more malefic. They become super strong. If they are benefic, they can be more benefic when they are retrograde. Planets in yogas who are retrograde, i.e. Parivartanan, Exchange, Vipreet Raj Yoga, all the yogas I discussed, lunar yogas, solar yogas, check them out on my previous videos in this series. Will a retrograde planet in those yogas make it nullified, cancel it, change it? No, makes no difference at all. It's not affecting yogas. It is affecting desire of the planet, which has become especially strong. That's what's happening. And I've heard this so many times. It must be out there on the internet. It must have come up somewhere. Retrograde planets act like previous sign. You've got retrograde Saturn in Capricorn, let's say, strong in own sign. But it's really acting like it's in Sagittarius, is it? No, it is not. That retrograde Saturn in Makra Capricorn is feeling like he's in Cancer, the opposite sign, not the sign before. That's a secret. That's what you should know. It's not a secret, actually. It's way out there on the internet. Lots of astrologers talk about it. But I'll tell you what I have seen, and I mentioned this on this exact video. This previous sign concept works in a transit, not in the horoscope. When a planet turns retrograde, looks towards previous sign, we feel that pull towards that house, and it works by transit, but it's not a factor of destiny seen in a birth chart. I hope that clears it up a little bit anyway. Is retrograde Jupiter, somebody asked, still forming good yogas if it is retrograde? You see, here's the same thing again. Retrograde planets forming yogas. Is it still happening? Yes, such as Gajjakeshari. Jupiter is opposed the moon, let's say, retrograde. He feels as though he is with the moon because he feels like the opposite sign. Almost. Not exactly. He is not now in a conjunction with the moon. He has not changed signs. Don't think retrograde planets are not in the sign they are. They are, and they are in the house. But they get an internal feeling for the opposite sign. But all of these yogas are not impacted. They are still happening. We looked at quite a few yogas. We looked at solar yogas, lunar yogas, and particular yogas such as Vipreet Raj Yoga involving those Dusthana houses. One of the things people are always asking is, when does a yoga get cancelled? There's this thing out there about things getting cancelled. You've got a bad yoga. Don't worry, it's been cancelled. You've got a great yoga. Oh, what a shame. It's being cancelled. No. Nothing is being cancelled ever. It just isn't happening. You see, two things can exist. You can have a very powerful, favorable yoga and it doesn't manifest easily, but you do get benefit. You can have a really difficult yoga, but you manage to contain it somehow, but it's not cancelled. You will still get the effect because these are the karmas coming forth. Here is such a question. Do Vipreet Raj Yoga planets get weakened by bad aspects to them? Interesting. So Vipreet Raj Yoga we saw was when a Dusthana Lord 6, 8, 12 is in a Dusthana house. But you see, weakened by bad aspects, it's in a difficult situation anyway. It's not going to be weakened, it's simply going to be intensified. This means that it's going to have a real struggle, but that it will come out of it because it gets strength. A Dusthana Lord works well in a Dusthana house, 6, 8, 12. But check what I said about Vipreet Raj Yoga generally. Here's the thing. It doesn't work forever. At some point, it can give a really difficult factor. Marilyn Monroe's chart was a very good example of that. So no, it's not weakened. It's just intensified. In the series, we learned about Dasha, Mahadasha, the unfolding of the karmas, like the peeling of the layers. When we see the actual birth chart, we see a certain karmic set, events which are going to happen, situations which are going to develop because we have set them in motion past life. But the question is when? When will they manifest? And this is what Mahadasha is all about, what Dasha is about. It's the timing of events in our life. Here's a good question. A lot of people want to know this. Which Dasha is best for prediction? I don't want all these Dasha systems. Don't do my head in. Just give me the one that's going to work. That's what people are naturally asking. But there isn't one. You know, Vimsotri is good for this age. Vimsotri from the moon must never be neglected. Get to know it. That's the one I've taught in this series. And it's certainly going to work for all people all the time. You just don't drop it. It's so important. The lunar mansion of the moon. Start Dasha from that planet, Vimsotri Mahadasha. But there are different variations on Vimsotri which are definitely relevant for about 50% of the population. There's a video on my channel. Check it out. There is a Naisargika natural Dasha, which is a wonderful predictive tool as well. And there are conditional dashas, depending on the actual birth chart. There are Rasi dashas, so many. But don't become confounded by that. Don't think, oh, I can't deal with all these dashas. No, no, no. It isn't the actual dashas, it's the astrologer. It's which astrologer can use the dashas well. Can the astrologer use the information on the page or not? Because all dashas work if you use them correctly. This is definitely the case. And transits, the passage of the planets in the sky every day, month by month, year by year, which affect the birth chart and indeed all the Varga chart. And of course, transits trigger off the Mahadasha, work together with Mahadasha. That's the best way to definitely use them. To see how it happens, by the way, check out particularly the last video in this series, which is up there now, The Last Day and Mysterious Death of Marilyn Monroe, where we brought together transits and Mahadasha. Here's a question I've been asked so many times, and I answered it on my Any Question video years ago, but I'm going to do it again here. Do we read transits from the moon or from the ascendant in our chart? Like I say on my videos, you read from both. You should read from both, but they're showing you something different. And people want to know, well, which one is true? That they're conflicting. My ascendant prediction's wonderful, or mostly wonderful maybe, and the moon reading, well, it's not so cool. I'll just leave the moon, then I'll just look at ascendant, okay? No, no, no. If you really want the answer is the moon. The moon. Because transits are gochar. Gochar means from the moon. Go is moon. Go means cow. It relates to the moon, Taurus. Yeah. So the moon sign, your birth moon sign, called Rasi sign if you like, that sign, see the transits from that primarily is my most definite advice. And even when you get more advanced, check your D9 moon, read from that as well. You see, everyone, ascendant relates to our life direction. Where are we going in life? If I said to you right now, what's your life direction? Well, you might have to think about that a little bit. That would take some consideration, wouldn't it? It's not always obvious. But if I said, what's happening in your life, you'd know straight away, oh yeah, this is happening, work, relationships, home, kids, all of this. You would know, right? This is my daily life now. So that is the moon. The moon is what's actually happening. Ascendant is where we are going. So both work, but the moon is the most important. Of course, as soon as I've said that, you're going to say, oh no, but my life direction's important. Yes, it is. And that's why you should read transits from Ascendant, but don't neglect the moon. Some people just read from Ascendant. They think, they have this idea that moon is just for people who don't know time of birth. It's a crazy idea. You must always read from the moon. Oh, moon is only general. Everybody's got the moon sign. No, they haven't. There's only 12 moon signs and there's 12 ascendants. Your ascendant is no more unique than your moon sign. So everybody, the moon Gochar transits are something never to be neglected. Here's an interesting question. What happens when there's more than one planet transiting in a house? Well, we're going to find out very soon. Everybody's going to have a whole pileup of planets transiting in the sign of Pisces, because during the springtime, in a month or two, planets are lining up to give a definite, strong impact in that area of your horoscope. But that's rare. Let's just say you've got 1, 2, 3. It's normal to have Sun, Moon, Mercury all together in a house. They are never far away from each other. Sorry, I didn't mean to say Sun, Moon, Mercury. I meant to say Sun, Venus, Mercury. Sun, Venus, Mercury often transit in a house. That's okay. That's just 3. Just like I have spoken about 4 or more planets being too intense in a house in the horoscope, so it is the same by transit. When there's 4 or more transiting planets in any sign, in any house in your chart, it trips up intensity, obsession, things which have to be settled, but it doesn't make it easy to settle them. That's the thing. I would always say, calm down in the area of your life, everyone, where you have 4 or more planets transiting. It's a bit facetious, isn't it, telling everyone to calm down, because I find it, we all find it hard. When there's too much going on in that house, we feel like exploding, depending on our mood and our temperament, depending on our chart. There's too much pressure, everyone. But the thing is, wait until some of those grahas move ahead. The faster ones, like the Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, definitely. Wait until they move ahead out of the house to make important decisions. When there's too much going on in a sign, in a house, by transit, try to take it easy, which will be hard, but certainly don't make those huge decisions right off your back, as it were. Give it a bit more time, because you've got a narrow vision, and that isn't always helpful. Finally, we looked at the mysterious death and the last day of Marilyn Monroe. Obviously, it's a sensitive topic, so YouTube decided that you couldn't comment underneath it. That was a good thing in a way, because it could get into the hands of people who will not understand it, and I wouldn't want that to happen. And on that video, I actually spoke to you about the D3 chart and Kara principle, danger planet, and I also spoke about synastry happening. So a few more advanced concepts were introduced on this video. Check out the whole playlist to learn Vedic astrology, of course, up on the screen right now. Don't forget, sub to my channel, of course, if you're new. Nice to have you on board. Goodbye for now, and God bless you all.